It's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope and you bang your head on the ring apron. Why do you do that? That's when you feel like a big dope. They're the worst bumps you can be taking. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. One more. Sometimes you're distracting the referee and the babyface he has your wrestler pinned. Then you get punched to the ring apron and you realize all the trouble you're in when it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Now double claps. What's going on, Bob Squad? I messed up the claps already. Welcome to the last hardest part of the ring, 2021, which leaves us the least hard. It's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Whoa, yeah. What is going on, Bob Squad? It is the hardest part of the ring. The last episode of 2021 and what memories we've had. What memories we'd like to erase. Watching WWE Monday Night Raw, NXT for most of the year, and a whole bunch of pay-per-views, even snuck in 2 AEW pay-per-views, which I expect those to continue. Again, I say if I would switch from Raw to AEW for this podcast if I could. And at least AEW, at least the stuff I hate, there's something to talk about. If Raw, because let's go to the elephant in the room right away. It's no secret that half the roster, like pretty much everyone, is COVID at Raw. Okay, nobody's there, and the secret didn't last too long. Everybody figured it out and did the math that everyone's got COVID, and we'll go down one by one who wasn't there and why. Riddle not being there last week, I do not know for a fact, but I think he probably had COVID. Okay. If Monday Night Raw returns to the Thunderdome, I do not think I can continue reviewing Raw on the hardest part of the ring. I will still do a weekly hardest part of the ring, but we're gonna have to think of something. We're just gonna maybe have to go to old stuff for a while. I don't know the answer, but if they go back to the Thunderdome thing, yeah, I mean I'll probably still watch it, but I'm gonna be fast forwarding so much that I don't have any business reviewing it really. But we're not there yet. I think it's not the audience, it's really just the roster who all has COVID. And the audience also all has COVID, but they don't have to speak on TV, they just have to sit in a crowd and infect one another while they eat nachos. And then they can't tell if they're gasping for breath because they're having their third heart attack from all the nachos they eat, or they have COVID-19. But, come on Eileen, you've got COVID-19 at this moment. There is a vaccine, but no one's taken it. It is the Monday Night Raw for December 27th, 2 days after Christmas. The last Monday Night Raw 2021. The Hulu edition. Hulu edition. With not limited enough commercial interruption. And you're not going to believe this. Hold on to your hats. I hope you're sitting down. The show opens with Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. And then, what happens next? We open the show with Riddle and Randy Orton, and they are talking. God, they are talking for a long time. So somebody wrote a bunch of unfunny comedy for these guys, and Riddle goes on for a long, long time. This used to be the most fun. He made me laugh out loud once. And it sounded, I don't know if it was scripted or not, it sounded like the least scripted line, and that's what's always going to be funniest. That's how humor works, young college writers who haven't lived. Orton has to do the thing where they're doing a live promo, and he has to say, hey, let's look at some footage from last week. Let's go to the production truck. And right before they cut away, Riddle goes, what's a production truck? Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious that he would be there and not know what it is. It fit his character. It works. It was off the cuff, or at least it sounded off the cuff. That was great. Everything else was crap. Well, this brings out Otis and Chad. This hurts me to review. Good God. It brings out Otis and Chad Gable, and they talk about some events That happened last week with the production truck. And they talk about how Orton and Otis are going to wrestle later. But then Riddle challenges Chad Gable to a match right now. Right now. Now. Not at the time of this recording. At the time of this recording, it's already happened. But when then was now. And Riddle and Chad Gable have a pretty good match, and Riddle wins the thing. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Very nice, and that bleeds, thankfully. We don't have to come back to this quote-unquote... I'll use the word story very loosely. We don't have to come back to this situation later on in a show and redo entrances. They just go right to Orton and Otis, which is a surprise considering they're low on people. So you think they would do the drag it out. Well, they'll come back in 2 hours, and we'll have the same long entrances, and then we'll recap what happened 2 hours ago, and blah, 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 blah. Instead, they just go right to Orton and Otis. Big surprise, pleasant surprise. Orton hits his move on Otis. 1, 2, 3. And then Orton and Riddle, they have a big hug, and that was nice. I like the hugs, so that was good. And then we cut to an Irish guy talking to Kevin Owens. And apparently the Irish guy's name is Kevin, and Kevin Owens doesn't like the Irish guy being named Kevin, so he renames him Bert. And then Bert holds the microphone, and we cut from Kevin Owens. We gotta do a promo and a promo and a promo. It's the Russian doll's nest of sports entertainment. We cut to Big E cutting a promo into his camera phone from home because he has COVID-19. They didn't say that, but come on. Eileen. Then takes it back to Kevin Owens and back to Bert. And then the Mysterios wrestle the Street Profits. This was a really good match. It's tag teams. I think tag teams are even harder to do babyface matches than singles. Like 2 good guys versus 2 good guys. 2 good guy teams versus each other is really hard because someone still has to get a hot tag. And someone has to get heat, and how do you do this? This makes it even harder. It's one thing when you have 2 singles baby faces, and one guy takes the heel role, but he just doesn't necessarily have to cheat. He's just the guy who's feeding for the comeback. So Hogan and Warrior is okay. Did they both rake eyes and pull hair? Yeah, who cares? But Warrior spent more time coming up underneath Hogan, like literally in a chin lock coming up underneath. And with tag teams, it's a little harder to do with baby faces. This was, and I don't even know if anyone I really got any big hot tags. Anytime Ray comes in, are such a pop, but so Ray probably got what would be called one towards the end. But these 2 teams, usually I would hate athletic stuff with no story because it becomes a circus act. But Raw needs that sometimes just to do something different. God forbid of a wrestling match. And these teams did a bunch of false finishes, and normally I'd hate it, but at least someone's awake and alive, so I'll let it go. Because Montez Ford does the damnedest 5-star frog splash off the top turnbuckle, the damnedest thing, and it wasn't the finish, and I got annoyed. And then I was quickly okay with it, and I'll get there in a second. So, yeah, these 2 traded a bunch of moves. Dominic trying to do the same athletic thing as his dad at the same time is kind of funny because Rey Mysterio is still Rey freaking Mysterio, and Dominic's a foot taller and probably 50 pounds heavier or whatever, so it's kind of it was kind of funny to watch them both do this diving, hit a sunset flip on the guy, so he hits the barricade on the outside, wacky thing at the same time. It was kind of bananas, but the people were buying it. They were seeing action. The live audience reacted to 2 things this night. This is the first one. Okay, remember the live audience? And the Profits win the thing, so it was a big frog splash. Something else happened where it looks like the Profits were going to lose, and the Profits hit their finisher on Dominic, 1, 2, 3. And that ended up getting just as big a reaction as the big 5-star frog splash. Therefore, I'm okay with that as the finish. Very good. And I guess this means the Profits wrestle Randy Orton and Riddle at the pay-per-view on Saturday. Oh God, help me, there's a pay-per-view Saturday. Which I just thought it was Otis and Gable for some reason. I just thought that's why they're having all these singles matches. I got a little confused there. I didn't understand. I thought those 2 guys, Otis and Gable, had already won the tournament. I don't know. But let's move on. Let's not stay on it. The Miz is backstage and he's angry because the wrong writer intern handed him roses that didn't look good enough. Because later on tonight, The Miz and his wife Maurice renew their wedding vows as Miz prepares to wrestle Edge this Saturday. I wonder what will happen. And Miz, out of nowhere, Eric Bischoff shows up. And Bischoff is there, he's looking great. And he played his role awesome. You can tell Bischoff there's a slight disconnect, but it's not that obvious. Where Bischoff is used to not word for word scripted, but still mostly scripted. Like heavily bullet pointed is what he's used to and what he's good at. And he is good at it. Much as some people don't like him, but he's good at it. And this is full WWE modern word for word. We script every time you blink, so you can tell like he's still holding his own. And he does in the big segment later, the main event segment, I guess. He does great in it. It just wasn't word for word. There was a slight stumble here and there, like people talk. I liked it. Seth Rollins is home cutting a video into his iPhone because he has COVID-19. And he still says he's still going to be there on Saturday to wrestle. Of course he is. Oh, and Bobby Lashley wasn't there either because he has COVID-19. There's a main event with 4 dudes and 3 of them were home with COVID-19. That's the worst kind of COVID. And Kevin Owens shows up again because the other 3 guys have COVID. And then MVP interrupts them and they're talking. And just talking. And then the Hurt Business show up because they don't have COVID. And they join MVP and it looks like the gang's getting back together. And this remark I don't think is going to fly. Kevin Owens jokingly referred to himself as a little bit special. And MVP said, yeah, short bus special, as if to make fun of children with developmental disabilities, if you will. And in today's environment, not even today's TV environment, today's wrestling environment, somebody probably gave it was a little slap on the wrist, like, hey, idiot, don't. But MVP is brilliant, though, on a microphone. He talked, he's ball busting like men would. So, I think it's fine. I don't think he's maliciously trying to make fun of handicapped kids, but you can't say handicapped. I don't know what it is. But whatever. He's not trying to be malicious. He's just trying to be a dude talking shit to another dude and get under his skin. So, but who knows? I wonder if we'll hear anything about it, or the powers of people will be preoccupied with everyone having COVID. Oh, and then we have a recap of Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan last week. Becky Lynch isn't there because she has COVID. Earlier you saw her husband cut a promo to his iPhone because he has COVID. Liv Morgan, I don't know if she was home with COVID or if she was there with COVID and wrestled someone else. It didn't make either way. She wasn't on this Hulu edition of Raw. Is all I know with Liv. If she's been physically interacting with Becky and even drove to Iowa, or she drove, holy balls. If she flew to Iowa, where Seth and Becky have COVID, and they have a wrestling school where everyone wrestles each other with COVID. Maybe Liv Morgan has COVID. I don't know. But Damien Priest is next, and he says the word rage 18 times. That's a Vince thing. Say this word. You have this rage, and you can't control this rage. He's not Bill fucking Bixby. They're having him, and we'll explain it in the match coming up. So I guess last week he wrestled Robert Roode. It wasn't on Hulu. And he gave Roode his finisher on the outside because he has so much rage. My question is, I didn't see the clip or the match. Did Damien Priest do this because he was wronged in some way and lost his temper? Or are they having him freak out in a fit of rage for apparently no reason? If you guess B, which is really stupid, you're correct. So he wrestles Dolph Ziggler. Damien Priest, it was a good match, but they cared more about Dolph. Dolph's a guy. Dolph is a face we have seen in our living rooms for like a decade and a half or something like that. So people are going to care about Dolph, whether they want us to or not. It's going to happen. Anyway, Priest gets DQ'd. He can't stop. Okay, so this is bad writing. Not even forget booking. Forget booking for a second, because this isn't booking. This is bad writing. Dolph has to act like he never does, just to make a thing happen that you want to happen. What I'm saying is, Dolph is doing this taunting and this thing that he never does to opponents, because he's always running around trying to wrestle them. Dolph showing off is never slapping he never does that. You want some more? And slaps him around. No, he stops and he does a pose and a dance or a gyration or whatever the hell you want to call it. And he does his things, his poses, his things. After 15, 60 years on TV, Dolph finally decides to slap a guy who's down and go, you want more? Blah, 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 you want it? And then Damien Priest has to freak out, have a fit of rage, and he can't stop punching in the corner, and he gets disqualified, and then he has his finish, Dolph on the outside of the ring. Okay. Yeah. Bad writing, because you can see Dolph didn't look natural doing it, because that's not what Dolph does. Dolph hits a big, flashy drop kick, turns, gyrates, does his thing with his hands or whatever the hell he does, goes back to it. It was obvious. He made it obviously fake. We know it's fake. Stop making it obviously fake. You're making it too fake that we can't forget it's fake. I hate the word fake, but I'm going to have to use it today. I should put on a fake show. I'm cranky. I got my anesthesiologist bill, and I just got my another giant bill like last Monday from the surgeon. And I have insurance, and it covers what it covers. It covers like 80% of the surgeries. So I'm just getting slaughtered. Like basically in this, I'm paying like, I guess you could say like 2 more rents is the way I could phrase it, and it's just fucking kill. I just can't get my bearings back. So the hospital just keeps raping me in the anus. I got the surgeon slipping me the salami. I got the anesthesiologist playing hide the sausage. I got yikes. The hospital originally, the big general hospital bill was a penis in the anus. They're getting me from all ends, folks. They're getting Bobby from all ends. Anyway, we go to the main event segment, the Wedding Vows. The Wedding Vows. Okay. How do I set this up if you haven't seen it? I can't. It's crap. They can't do a wrestling wedding, and they want to, clearly. Because this couple is already married, and they have a reality show on the same network where they are very much married with 2 kids. Even WWE, as much as they like to make us forget stuff, they have been telling us this couple is married, and they are, for several years. So, they have a renewing of the wedding vows. And do the same wedding format, because they love fucking weddings. That's a Pritchard thing, too, that's ass-kissing sack of shit. I'm in a mood. Yeah, he loves wrestling weddings, thinks they're the greatest. They're the worst. Not as bad as contract signings, I don't know. But anyway, they take the ropes off the ring. Eric Bischoff is that's why he's there, by the way. I forgot to mention why he's there. Eric Bischoff is now a minister. Since when, I don't know. And he is overseeing the wedding vow renewal of Maurice and Miz. And I gotta say, in the last couple of weeks, and this was a great example, Maurice was great in this. Because Miz hams up everything and lets you know it's obviously stupid. He doesn't have another mode. He doesn't have another side to his personality. Maurice plays it straight, and it's 10 times funnier. Because you never know if she's taking this seriously or not. And she isn't, but she committed last week with her. She had her thing with Edge, and then I think the week before that with the Miz slapping the Miz because he used her as a shield thing. Like, she committed like full on to this stuff, and it makes it so much funnier because she's still saying nonsense, and she knows it, and she's correcting Miz's nonsense. So Miz starts off his wedding vows by cutting a promo about Edge. He's renewing his wedding vows, cutting a wrestling promo about what he's going to do at the big show this weekend to so-and-so. Which I thought was funny. because it was so blatant. Like, oh, okay, I see. And you waited for Maurice to get annoyed and upset, like, no, this is our big day. Why are you talking about wrestling? We're supposed to renew our vows in front of the world. And instead, she no-sells it and nods along like this makes perfect sense, which is funny. And she's such a hot lady too. I know. But they show old clips of the two of them and how hot young Maurice was. She was like a sex kitten, if you will, but now she's a more mature lady. Okay, enough, Bob. And she cuts her thing, and she does the tears, and she called Mike since the first day we met, and blah 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 blah. But the whole thing, but Mike just cut a wrestling promo, and she's not even selling it. And then Mike the Miz, decides, you know what? When we first met, you couldn't speak a word of English. You only spoke French. So I'm gonna do my vows in French. And he screws up some words, and she corrects him. And then he says "inteligente," and she goes, "That's Spanish." And she never cracked, and Bischoff never cracked, and Miz, to his credit, never cracked. But he's always making a hamming it up goofy face anyway, so he doesn't really have to worry about it. But they go through the whole thing, and Bischoff says, "I repronounce you, man? I don't know what the fuck you say with Wedding Vows." Bischoff says, "Does anyone object?" And then I think Bischoff even gave up at that point and says, "Well, you know how these things go." And then he just looks, and then Edge's music hits. They said, "Fuck it, why are we trying?" And part of that amuses me. And Edge comes out, jumping up and down way too much. The people like he had way too much caffeine, like 13 energy drinks before they hit the music. But I want to say this before we get to what happens with Edge. The crowd had a great time booing The Miz and heckling Maurice and trying to ruin this beautiful moment. They were loud, and they were loud for the Profits and Ray because of the physical stuff, but I think they were even louder for this, which is not good for the future of the show, because this means we're going to have 18 more of these in 2022, and that's what they don't get. They like to beat things to death. But because they're probably going to have Edge and Beth renew their vows and try to be serious, and Midge will interfere. Anyway, Edge says not too much, and then they play his old music. Oh wait, sorry, gotta go backwards again. I'm sorry guys. When Miz first enters the stage, he trips on the steps and almost falls over, but he catches himself. And thankfully he's a heel. Everyone jeers him and boos him and makes fun of him, and he rolled with it, and he laughed it off, and him and Bischoff had a laugh, and Miz went to make sure Maurice got up there, and that's actually really smart, to make sure Maurice, because those stairs are not attached to the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. So Miz makes sure Maurice gets up safely, and she definitely saw it, backstage. They were trying not to laugh. And of course Edge played it extra careful. He gets on and off, and he says don't fall when at the beginning, like, okay, but I don't even think he needed to, because they already made fun of Miz for it. Anyway, Edge's old brood music, the gothy thing, plays with the red lights, and everyone goes, oh, what's going on? And Edge steps away, and they expect blood, like the fake blood would fall from the ceiling and cover the person, like it used to, I guess, back in the day. And it kind of does and kind of doesn't. This goop does get all over Miz and Maurice, and that's most important. But it looked more dark brown than red, and is it supposed to be poop? Because Vince McMahon and poop, he likes poop and butt and fart and piss jokes. That's all he likes, is just shitting and crapping and taking large dumps. And okay, Bob, are you done? He likes that, and he likes it when people get covered in fake poop. But I don't know. It didn't quite work, but I mean, for the live crowd, they saw the two bad guys that they were yelling at get covered in some kind of weird crap. I don't think it came off well on TV. I would not be surprised. I'm going to call it right now. We're going to find out on Saturday. I would not be surprised if when they replay it, and they're going to replay it, oh man, are they ever going to replay it? From now until Saturday, on whatever single program they possibly can, and their social media. I would not be surprised if by the time we get to Saturday, the video is changed colors, or it's black and white, or it's they've played with it, or the cuts are super crazy fast like Kevin Dunn likes, because he's a stupid idiot. He should be the one on a special short bus, not Kevin Owens. Extra obnoxious today with the camera work for whenever anyone throws punches. Don't go back and watch Damien Priest punching Dolph in a corner before the disqualification. You will throw up. Enough. It's so bad. But Kevin Dunn likes it. So Vince McMahon likes it. He also likes poop. So what the fuck does he know? I hate these people. I hate that these people are in my life. Okay, Bob, you okay? You okay? Maurice did something else that was brilliant. Because her and Miz get the stuff, and thankfully it fell right on top of them. It sucks when it like misses the heel and actually gets the baby face more, and then they have to sell it. Like that didn't happen. But Maurice went down, and her wedding veil thing goes over her head. And when she came up, she had a complete face full of this thing, because Miz had the veil over her head as Miz is covering her, trying to pick her up or whatever, trying to help her up. When she comes up, it's completely all over her face, like not a spot missing. So she definitely scooped a bunch up and threw it on her face when the veil was over her head. It was just smart. She almost overdid it, maybe, but who cares? It's like, whatever, at this point. She made sure that shit got all over her for the shot. And not just ruin the dress. She made sure that shit got all over her. And that's good. That's real instincts, just... Because she wasn't in wrestling. She was like another one of those fitness models before WWE. So, just instincts of, if we're doing the shit, we're doing the shit. We're not half-assing it. So I guess that's supposed to make us... Wait, how is there any heat on Miz now for the match this Saturday? Oh, that's right, there's none. Because Edge got even with the heel before the match. Oh, well then. Good thing the pay-per-views are free. Exactly. No. Now I have less desire to see it. The face won on the go-home show. It wasn't a go-home show, it was a stay-home with COVID show. But maybe they had to do something just they thought would make us happy, because we didn't have 75% of our main event coming up. Okay. That's Monday Night Raw. I'm hitting stop very soon. I did not see any footage of what happened off the air. They couldn't have done one of those off the air, like, dark matches, as they say, that aren't taped, just another match to keep a little extra thing where the good guy wins just to send everyone home happy, and it's just not aired. They'll like end it with the angle where the heel has done something dastardly, and then roll credits, and then a different babyface comes out and will wrestle that heel in like a 3 or 5 minute easy match and just send everyone home happy, and that'll be that. Then they'll play around on a microphone a little more with some less restrictions and no time limits as much. I doubt they did any of it. I don't know. I would doubt they would do anything like that, because now the ropes are off the ring and it's covered in goop and shit, and Miz was already falling from the steps into the ring, because the steps were not connected to the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da.